Welcome back, everybody, to another conversation for the end of the world. I am your host, Brock Teal, and today I am with three cider guys. How about y'all introduce yourselves?
You want to go left or right?
Okay. All right. My name is Patrick Earhart.
I'm Adrian Luna.
AJ Ricker Franco.
And this is Charlie over here. He crashed the party, so.
Yeah, he decided to join us.
He's not old enough to drink, but.
Hey, you'll get it there one day. So, y'all, I found y'all, and you are actually like a really interesting group. Y'all are like cider enthusiasts, and y'all have a TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube channel. Tell everybody about what y'all do on your socials.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Me? Oh, man. I was trying to push AJ to answer more questions because we're trying to develop his question answering. But yeah, so we kind of started, with the YouTube thing. We wanted to go and just talk about cider and topics that kind of revolved the cider industry and, answer questions about life or wherever possible, wherever we could answer questions here and there. Ended up being that we learned so much about cider. I mean, we really knew nothing. All we really knew was like the mass manufactured stuff. And we went to our local liquor store and we found there wasn't a lot of options. And then we found out about this craft cider scene. I always knew about craft beer, but I didn't know there was a whole craft cider scene. And we started learning more and more and how much like every cidery really helps develop its local economy and its local ecosystem. And people don't realize that just by purchasing a can, like we're drinking Abandoned Hard Cider right now. By purchasing one of these, you're helping the local farmers that these guys buy their apples from, or at some places they buy juice from, different farms, and you're really helping local economy. So I got really passionate about it, and we started visiting cideries, talking to cider makers, and learning their story. And man, we've met some really cool people along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel y'all on the whole, there's not a lot of options, because especially down here, I'll be lucky if I can go to 2 or 3 Walmarts on my way home and find like a case of Angry Orchard. I mean, that and Strongbow on the rare case at a liquor store is about all we've got down here. So to have it's all beer or hard alcohol over here. But and I really love cider. I like the sweetness of it, and I know a lot of people are like, well, if your alcohol's sweet, but no, it's fantastic. But and then I found out just like getting the organic juice from a Publix or a Whole Foods, pouring the champagne yeast in there, topping it off in the jar right there, and making your own cider. I mean, that was great, but I could only imagine how fantastic it is being up there in New York where y'all are at, where, I mean, Angry Orchard is that their own orchard is up there. So, I mean, even off of that, I'm sure there's a lot more orchards up there that supply or even host their own breweries.
Oh, for sure. I mean, so we actually haven't been to Angry Orchard yet. We want to go there, but there's so much out there that people don't know. Where are you located, by the way? I didn't know.
Alabama.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Alabama.
We'll have to search the Alabama cider scene.
Yeah.
We want to essentially go everywhere. We're based out of New Jersey, but the Hudson Valley, New York is like apple country. So it's the easiest answer for us to just immediately go and search that area. But we've gone as far as Atlanta, Blue Ridge, Georgia. We went to Connecticut this past weekend. We've done mostly New York, but we really want to branch off. I know Florida is in my radar for this year. And then eventually, once vaccinations roll out and this pandemic is over, hopefully we can go overseas, go to the UK, go to Canada and such. So yeah, man, there's so much out there though. You mentioned sweet cider, because that's kind of what we all kind of know. If you've never seen the craft cider stuff, there's this right here is really dry. There's dry cider, there's sweet cider, there's still cider, bitter sharps, bitter sweets. There's floral flavor notes, hops, like beer, hoppy cider. So there's so many options out there. It's a shame that we don't do a good job of pushing it enough into liquor stores. So that's kind of what we're working on,
Yeah. Pretty much all the apple cider is pretty much gone to vinaigrettes for the majority of its history. So I don't even know if America really has a strong cider history, or if that's just something that's kind of been rediscovered and recultivated.
So apparently, and this is a really cool thing, when we went to Embark, George Washington was huge on cider. Like, he loved cider. And like, I guess he used to make his own. And he had this orchard, and he had a tree that he developed. And I don't want to butcher the story too much, but I think it was called the Harrison tree in New Jersey. And for the longest time, they thought that the Harrison apple was gone. And then some guy, I think if I'm not mistaken, the owner of Ironbound Hard Cider found like one of the last few existing trees and helped develop it and roll it out to like different orchards throughout the East Coast. And they've been able to bring back the Harrison back to life, George Washington's tree, you know, and make cider out of it. So if you ever get a chance to go to New York and Bark Craft Cider Works, they also have it out there. Ironbound Hard Cider has it, and then they make ciders out of it. So it's really cool. There's so much rich history. And yeah, like you said, it's definitely a culture that's coming back, an industry that's coming back, and I think it's going to make it big in the next 10 years.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of stuff has really happened. Like, you know, like when we were more colonial era, where you didn't really have, you had what you had, and then you made it just by, that's because that's just what you did. There wasn't any kind of like industrial stuff. And then we go into the more industrial revolution era, and people are like factory jobs, 9 to 5, 6 days a week. So there's not really that kind of like, I'm a cider maker. It's like, you are, but you work for Budweiser, or you're not even a cider maker. You're a brewmaster at that point. And now we've gotten to such a section in our economy to where people can go to college, get 9 to 5s, realize they hate their 9 to 5, and then they start a cider business. So it's all kind of come full circle. Not only So not only with cider, but just like, they're like on TikTok, soap makers, blacksmiths, leather craftsmen, just croquet people, just everything is kind of resurging in this kind of more or less at home kind of small business where you pick your specialty and you work at it. When did that really start with cider making? Just based off of what you know.
I mean, to be honest, I think, like you said, e-commerce essentially is on the rise right now. I think e-commerce is the future. And I don't know that a lot of people have really hit it from every angle possible. That's kind of what we're trying to explore. We've talked about being distributors. We've talked about making our own cider. AJ's making cider, so we're going to call it Three Guys Cider. I don't want to speak too soon, but we're also collaborating with some local cideries. And I don't want to speak too soon because I don't want to, you know, whatever, but we might have our name on somebody's cider, hopefully, or our pictures on them, and help them make it or something. So we might be collaborating with some craft cider companies. So we're still trying to figure out how we're going to hit this industry and what angle, because really we're coming, we're hungry, we're strong, and we want to hit it from every angle possible. I think this whole cider industry movement started really in 2012. The birth of Angry Orchard just really, you know, opened the door for so many cideries. And while some people don't like the sweetness, some people love the sweetness, no matter what you want to say about it, it opened the door for everybody else to walk into, you know. I think just now, the last 3 or 4 years, you've been starting to see, you know, a rise in social media and people being enthusiastic about it. Beer has always been huge. You know, even back in MySpace days and early Facebook days, there were people who were like, you know, reviewing beer, and that was always a big thing. And I think in the last 5 years, you've seen people do the same thing, but with cider, you know. So I think it's been the last 5 years where you see more enthusiasts and people growing. There's a lot of great people out there that motivate us and we learn from, so.
Yeah, the cider community is really great. Everybody's really helpful, very open, and very positive community.
Yeah, absolutely. So because you said New York, where the area y'all are at, that it is more of the capital, at least in the northern eastern part of the country. So it grew up in 2012 with Angry Orchard. When did the smaller breweries or cideries open up? Like how did the dominoes fall, as it were?
I mean, I don't know what you guys feel about this, but I feel like I keep seeing a reoccurring number is always like 2015, 2016. When we interview these cider makers, that seems to be like the common denominator right around that time. A lot of these companies are young, man. A lot of them, the thing is, they come from farms that have been around 100 years. We did our last episode at Treasury Cider, and they're out of Fishkill Farms. The farm is a Centurion farm. It's been there for 100 years, and I believe Eleanor, Winston Churchill, and somebody else. But at any rate, they had some pretty like epic names from history walk on that same very farm that we were on. They've only been making cider for something like 5 years, I think. But the farm has been around forever. The orchard has been around forever. The fruits, they've been, that's been around forever. So it is, yes, a young industry, but a lot of them come from farms that have been around for
so because that's definitely something that's really hard, especially, and that's probably why a lot of people aren't doing the kind of vertical integration with their beer making, because it especially down here, like, it's hard to have a farm. Like, even down here, like, you can get 100 or so acres maybe, but there's always going to be this multi-generational conglomerate of families that have bought up 20-30,000 acres, and they're doing pine trees because that's what was hot 10 years ago. Yeah. And they can't get out of it until the pine trees are ready to harvest. But I don't really think anybody saw the whole small family farming business. It's always been like kind of you contract for this family for your corn, your chicken, or your beef. And that's especially probably what happened with the apple orchards until they just ran down the price so far that it wasn't sustainable for them anymore.
Yeah.
But to come back to where they're able to make their own stuff and produce it and be successful, I absolutely love whenever that happens to anybody.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I always ask all these cider makers, and I try to, if I remember, usually when we go to these cideries, we get really drunk. They end up giving us so many of these that, like, we don't always ask the questions we need to ask, but I always ask, what do you think we need to do as a country, as a continent, North America, whatever, to popularize cider in this country, in this continent, whatever? And their answers always change. The one answer nobody has given me is social media, and I think that's what we're lacking. Social media is such a powerhouse. Everybody has Instagram. Everybody has Facebook and Twitter. Maybe not Twitter, but I think that's what everybody's lacking. And that's why we're trying to be a powerhouse everywhere. We were trying to do the TikTok, which is kind of hard because we're not 12-year-olds, but we're heavy on Instagram. YouTube is our main focus. But yeah, man, like, I think more than anything, that's the future. E-commerce, social media, being loud, being proud, and, showing off what we're working on.
Absolutely. I mean, especially down here, like, even with the e-commerce section, I think Alabama itself has just passed the Senate a bill that would allow a DoorDash or Tipsy kind of delivery of alcohol. So yeah, now.
Wow, really?
Really?
No. Like, we still have, like, I don't know if y'all have, like, where on Sunday you can't buy alcohol, and this is, the state has kind of let the counties do it. So I would assume that you're just able to buy alcohol 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
As long as they're open, yeah.
And it depends on the county. I know my county, Dell County, Pike County, and Houston County, the surrounding areas here, they had no alcohol sales on Sunday, or from 12 o'clock at Saturday, like Sunday morning at 12 a.m. till like Monday opening. And I think they've just allowed to where you can buy alcohol during, like, right after church, like when church would be out, so like 1:30, 2 o'clock. But the stores won't open up for that short amount of time, except for like maybe Walmart or something. But no, we're behind. We're behind.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of excited for the alcohol delivery because that's kind of nice. But I also live in the middle of nowhere where I'm 30 minutes from any major city that would deliver alcohol, so it's not happening.
Oh.
Wait, since you said like Walmart, it's like, does Walmart to you guys like sell alcohol?
Oh yeah, I remember I was up in Boston a couple of months back, right during the pandemic, I got furloughed. So I was like, hey, let's go visit family, quarantine and all, and test and whatever. And I went to Walmart to buy alcohol, and they're like, we don't sell alcohol. That's for the stores. But yeah, no, Walmart.
Yeah, thank you.
I just remembered that. Walmart's probably not allowed to sell alcohol over there. But anything but hard liquor, Walmart pretty much sells.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
it's weird.
different.
Some states, I know you go to your local like gas station and you can just ask the gas attendant or something.
Yeah.
For
Gas station too.
yeah, we don't have that
We
here.
don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, because they say small, because down here we're pretty red Republicans, so a lot here you hear a lot of them scream big small business, but at the same time they'll allow these giant corporations to kind of buy out, because they'll take a loss on the alcohol and pull in profits from other sections just to kill off these small alcohol liquor stores. So it's kind of weird how that happens, but I mean, maybe one day I'll be able to interview a politician and be like, what the hell's up with that?
Yeah. Oh man.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I would love to hear their response. But again, what really made y'all want to do this channel? Was it your love of cider? Have you want to do a channel and just couldn't think of an idea, and then you're like, just drinking a cider? It's like, hey, why don't we go to these different stores? What really gave you the inspiration to start Three Cider Guys?
So I do mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu. If you've ever watched the UFC, I haven't fought in a couple of years, but I definitely want to make a comeback. I definitely do want to return. But my main focus has always been grappling, jiu-jitsu. I'm a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and so my goal was always to make a vlog that kind of focused traveling. So it'd be like a travel vlog, but also the jiu-jitsu aspect, going to different martial arts gyms and interviewing the instructor and get a cool videography of the mats, the bags, and maybe a class and a good feel for the culture that's local to that gym. So I bought equipment. I got ready to do this. I started, figuring out who I was going to talk to, mapped everything out. And then one day I was training and I tore my hamstring.
Oh.
I didn't have insurance at the time, so I kind of had to walk on it for 2 or 3 months before finally getting it checked out and getting surgery. So my leg was kind of never the same. It's still recovery. I'm back to training. But initially, that was my goal. And, tore my hamstring, couldn't do that anymore. So I felt, well, what else could I do? I wanted to make some type of creative avenue for me to, express all these creative passions and juices that I had brewing in my head. Talk to these guys, and I said, let's do this cider thing. Nobody seems to be doing that. I knew that a couple people during the pandemic started doing things like podcasts. I want to do something different, something with a different flavor. And that's what brought aboard the cider thing. The first time I ever had cider was in London years ago, and I thought it was fantastic. I don't even know what kind of cider it was. So I figured throughout this whole journey where we do this podcast, we can try to get different ciders, and maybe one day I'll taste the cider that I tasted back in the UK years ago when I went. Lo and behold, we ended up learning so much about the industry, and now it took a turn where it's not a podcast at all. It truly is more of a vlog. We go to places. The videography is kind of important if you're watching the show. If you listen just to the audio, it'd probably be good, but it's more of a vlog now, and we're so immersed into this industry now. I don't know what you guys feel, but
yeah, it's been very fulfilling. Like he said, it was pretty. He had his own plans with the jiu-jitsu thing and everything, how it went down and everything, but it's kind of spur of the moment for me, and I guess you feel the same way. But I kind of ran with it. We usually do things together, and I just run with it, and it's been a lot more than I expected it to be. It's been very rewarding to be able to learn about these different people, learn about, and I like cider. I had some knowledge of it and had some experience with it, but just being able to go to these places and see this whole different world and all the great people behind it, and just being able to have something that you can call your own and be able to create something that is just from you and no one else is very rewarding, especially when you get the feedback that we've gotten, and it just really motivates you, and it's a really great feeling.
Yeah. Because for me, I'm always into cars, so I want to vlog the car scenes. So pretty much just going to meets and then talk to some people and then work on cars and stuff. But one time, Adrian asked me to just do it because first I didn't like cider. I've never tried cider, and I didn't like cider, even though I haven't tried it. And then Adrian came up to me and was like, "Oh, just try this. Don't say anything. Just try it." So I just like tried it, and it was pretty good. And what was that drink? That's like the first one, like tasted.
The first cider or the first like?
The first cider that you gave me.
I think it was Strongbow. Yeah, Strongbow.
Was it Strongbow? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
So I tried that. That was pretty good. And then a couple weeks later, he actually asked me, it's like, "Oh, you want to be in this podcast?" Like, oh, the three of us. Then we could interview people, and then we kind of like started leaning towards the vlog.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been fun.
It's been really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can only imagine. What was really which would definitely be the funner part for me is the travel aspect. How critical was that to the evolution of your guys' channel? Because you said it was originally a podcast, so I would assume a setup more like this. But then when you actually went up to the farms, because if I know a farmer, they're going to be like, "Hey, just come on out and come see us."
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that happened, if not within the first couple of calls, almost immediately after.
I think honestly, with going and traveling, obviously it's a lot more exciting and everything. When we had the podcast, it was fun to share our opinions on things and stuff like that and all that, and try different ciders. But I think with the whole travel, it definitely evolved us a lot more in the sense that, like, yeah, we're still tasting and we're still kind of reviewing the ciders also, but you're also like adding that aspect of travel. You're adding the different locations, different ciders that like people may never have seen before, and different cideries that people have never seen before, we've never seen before. And it gives these cideries also this exposure to be able to get their name out there if people haven't seen it. I think it's added a lot more depth to every avenue for other cideries as well as ourselves. So I think it's grown us a lot because of that.
And I do think it was very necessary.
Yeah.
Like we can stay in our basement and we're originally filming in my kitchen, and we can do that for so long. But
yeah,
I will say, I think it was necessary to go out and see these places. We were a little restricted to just the kitchen for a while and just hanging out here because COVID happened, obviously. But I think going to these farms, you really get to see the culture and the staff and see how they interact, their process. You wouldn't be able to just see that just drinking a bottle. And I will say this, going to the orchard, going to the farm, going to the cidery and drinking a cider from where it's made, I don't know about you guys, but I think it just tastes, honestly, so much better.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the same with craft beer, but I mean, I don't know. When you get the canned or bottle stuff afterwards, it's still good, but there's just something, just one little thing you miss. Going to the actual cidery, man, much better.
It's like when you're drinking, it's more enjoyable.
Yeah.
When you're drinking it, especially like with friends and stuff.
Yeah.
So how can you not have fun? You get drunk and travel at the same time.
Exactly.
Because I know I went to a brewery where they did a pineapple wine, and they had like just a fruit wine that's like pineapple wine, and they had like, I think it was a 20-gallon carboy, and they just turned the spigot, filled the glass up, and I've had it before, and it's just something about coming out the tap, not just sitting there for a minute. A little more carbonated than you're used to, but just drinking it straight out the tap, it just does something different.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, without a doubt. Yeah.
So what's like the weirdest, funkiest drink you've ever had? Would that be at the pineapple wine?
No. I had a what is it called? I can't remember the name because it's in another language, and it unfortunately did not have the cobra in it, but it was rice wine that had a cobra marinating in it. So they take a sample and like put the lid on, and they just poured me they put it like in a mason jar type thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I think I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I was expecting some some fruit drink. No, it's snake wine.
That's hilarious, man. Oh man. I mean, for us, And in Barcraft Cider Works, one of our favorite cideries to go to, and actually the first cidery that gave us a chance. Shout out to Caden Davis.
Yeah.
You know, they made a coffee plum with cinnamon notes cider mix. Crazy.
Okay.
Coffee, plum, cinnamon. You would never expect it. It was so good. Honestly, some of the cider we've ever had. You would never expect it. It was amazing. I'm not a guy who likes plum, but oh my gosh, just together, it tasted like breakfast. That's what
They called it kind of a breakfast. Yes.
Yeah, I know there's a thing that they do with some moonshiners down here. They'll get like whole peaches or plums, cut them in quarters or halves, and just throw them in the mason jar and let them marinate.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely something you do. Like you can grab like a peach that's been like marinating in this like 80 proof alcohol and just sip it down, and you'll get drunker off of like any kind of shot you take. Like it does not hold back. It hits you hard.
I've had homemade moonshine, and it's different, man, different category.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it is. So you said y'all wanted to go kind of international. Have you ever thought about, since it is such a smaller medium as far as what is being made right now, are y'all going to be an exclusive cider channel? Or are you going to go to, this is another alcohol that's made with fruits or vegetables, or maybe even a snake wine? So is that something y'all plan diversifying, or?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So the quick, easy answer is
yeah.
I think we all really want to brand ourselves as the three guys. We've like flirted with the idea of saying, instead of calling ourselves three guys and cider, let's be the three guys. And then the three guys can do anything. We've talked about three guys and food, three guys and fast cars, three guys and sandwiches, three guys and jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like, the sky's the limit. Cider will always be our main focus. It's what we love, what we've grown to really what we started with. Yeah, but I mean, the network we've made and the people we've met, we've been given so many amazing opportunities, and we've met so many people in this community that I think it'll always be our main focus. But we want to do everything, man. I mean, we've only been doing this for what? I guess 6 months now, maybe 6-7 months now.
June, July. Last year.
And like, yes, our Instagram is kind of like growing a little bit. The YouTube's growing a little bit, but most importantly, what I'm interested in is like building a community, and people interested in our content, so we can really use our platform for good. Something that a good friend of ours talks about. This girl with a cider review, Taz. If you guys, anybody watching this, definitely give her a follow. She talks about using the platform you have to spread positivity and a good message. And I think that's huge. We don't have that big of a following right now, but if we can use a little bit of a following that we have and just spread a good message, we try to like always share things about mental health and stuff like that. I think that's something we really want to push, and branding ourselves as the three guys will allow us to do that at a bigger capacity.
Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely do that. I remember back in like 2015 when Matt Pat came out with Game Theory. He was just like, he was the game theory guy. Now he's got game theory, film theory, food theory. He doesn't like, I mean, you can always broaden yourself. You can have a main company with a couple of umbrellas underneath, but I mean, y'all can definitely just three guys and then have just either different playlist for sandwiches, jiu-jitsu, and cars, but you can always be just three cider guys at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know.
I think it's a mentality like that where you're just like, no, we're the three cider guys. That's what we are, what we always will be. I think that's really what kind of, especially in the digital generation and age, that's what kind of stifles growth, because let's say right now it just cuts off. I mean, it won't. It'll get bigger, obviously. But let's just say cider's as big as it ever get. I mean, then you're going to be as big as you can ever get at one point. But if you grow into other things, like this podcast, like what I do, I'll interview you guys. I'll interview a blacksmith. I'll interview a politician. I have my hands in everything. I have exponential growth because I exponentially interview everyone. Mm-hmm. But if you're just on cider, you're only going to get the cider guys. Yeah. And you're only going to get the people who like the cider guys. So, I mean, even if you were, I was going to be like, no, you need to like diversify your stuff, because if especially if COVID's taught us anything, you can't just do one thing because that thing's going to disappear any minute.
Yeah,
That's true.
that's
Yeah.
so true.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I've always talked about with these guys is I want to infiltrate the system almost. You know, like cider is a growing industry. It's a growing culture. And so if we could kind of get into it during inception, you know, we could kind of become the brand that you remember. And, you know, by doing that, like you said, we could kind of put our eggs in different baskets and get people from different industries and maybe say, hey, we also do this, check it out, you know? So we have like a car channel. We can say, we can, you know, do something like drink a cider or something. Not while we're driving, but like while we're like reviewing cars or, you know what I mean? Something along those, we're doing a sandwich channel or a pizza channel. We can drink a cider and bring more attention to the main industry that we're kind of focused on. So.
Absolutely. So left from right, just like you were when you introduced yourselves. Do you do anything like a 9 to 5 thing, or if so, what do you do? And just like if you feel like it, and how did you really all like end up meeting? Are you college friends? Did you meet just right before the channel?
I love these.
Let's get an origin story between the 3 guys here.
Okay, long or short version? No.
I'm trying to run this out. I'm trying to run this to about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So long version.
Whoa, yeah, come on,
right.
long version.
The long version might be an hour and a half. No, I'm kidding. But no, okay, so as far as job, I work in a manufacturing company for like hosing, coverings, and stuff like that. I do package work and stuff like that. Honestly, it's the best job I've ever had up to now. But what we do is obviously very satisfying and for the long term and everything, because I don't feel like I'm the type of person to really be stuck into a 9 to 5 type of situation. So, but anyway, so as far as how we met, we've been friends, best friends, whatever you want to call it, for like 16, 17 years now. We met when like 2006, my senior year of high school. 2005, sorry, so he knows better. But, you know, so we met in TV production class of all things. Now we're actually putting it to use with what we do. But
he's going to be my best man.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
Oh, congratulations.
And my groomsman over here.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been friends for years and years and years, and we do pretty much everything together. This is just one of the many things we've done, but only this the world sees. But I guess, so and then I met him a couple years ago, kind of through him because they trained together. So that's how we met. So and we've been friends closer now than ever because of this ever since.
All right, fantastic.
And so I'm a project manager for a high density parking systems company. Still new there. I'm just kind of working in the pharmaceutical industry for the last 4 years. So I'm still only like 3 weeks in. It's a company my dad works for. They're kind of the companies that, if you've ever seen like elevation units that you park your car in, it elevates the car and another car can park underneath.
Ah, okay.
We kind of do that all over the world. So I can't speak too much about my job because I still don't even know what I do. You know, I'm a project manager, and so far, twiddling my thumbs and on Instagram every day. You know, I'm only 3 weeks in. It seems like a cool company, but yeah. I met Patrick back in high school, like he said, in TV productions. He was a kid who just kind of like sat in the corner by himself. Oh, no. And like I was pretty shy, didn't have a lot of friends. And I think one day you had a project you were working on with one of my friends or something like that.
You know better.
Something like that, yeah. And so he sat with us at lunch one day, and it just we started talking, and we became good friends and ended up hanging out. And like before that, I didn't really have a real best friend, and we quickly just became best friends. And ever since then, we've just, I mean, there's times where I'll go somewhere and people will be like, "Oh, where's Pat?" You know, they won't ask where my fiance is. Like, "Oh, where's Pat?" You know, go to a party. "Oh, Pat's not here." You know. And in the last 10 years, you know, yeah, we're attached to the hip. We literally do everything together.
Like I said, this is just one of the many things we've done.
But most recently, you know, I met AJ, I think 3 years ago through jiu-jitsu. You know, I saw so much potential in this kid. You know, and I asked him one day, I'm like, "Dude, you have so much potential. How old are you? Just 14?" He's like, nah, man, I'm like 25. I'm like, oh, okay. 'Cause I'm thinking, I always see, when I see potential and I see that it's untapped in the gym, I want to explore it and I want to spark that potential. And, I saw so much of myself in him, and I always wanted a little brother, never got one. I got a younger sister who acted like my older sister / mom and bossed me around a lot. And when I started talking to him, we hit it off, and he's been like a little brother to me. And at times a big brother. Like when I need something, sometimes I go to him for the logical advice, and I go to him for the advice that I want to hear, that type of thing. and just to spark this friendship that, I think easily fused into the three guys, So,
Man.
Love you guys.
Okay.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, especially just with your channel. I know a whole different bunch of other YouTube channels and podcasts where even when they were younger, where they had like a solo host, that they just like, you can only do so much and only have like one like variable as far as like point of views in a podcast or interview. So, and they eventually will grow to the 2 or 3 people. But especially such good friends, it's really good that y'all have started out with just 3 people, because ultimately that's where you want to be, a diverse cast of interesting and differentiating perspectives. So y'all guys are extremely lucky, especially to be such good friends, to have such a young channel that already has like it's already fleshed out as far as its host goes. But as far as the channel itself, what is the ultimate goal? Because I'm sure one facet of it is to be self-sufficient. This is my full-time job. This is what we do. Maybe even with the cars and the sandwiches and the pizza shop tastings. But what is that going to take? Because even with having 3 guys and me being by myself, one of the benefits of my perspectives is I only have to worry about what one person needs. And even at that, I can kind of like sacrifice to make it. Maybe I've got 100,000 subscribers with 50 to 70,000 views per video. I don't necessarily have to be hyping it up to quit my 9 to 5 and make it that. I can kind of like bare bone it until I get to a higher subscriber rate. Do y'all know what it's going to take for you to be more self-sufficient as far as your channel goes?
So, man, you want to answer that one? So,
I mean, it's a work in progress for sure.
Well, I guess it's just being consistent about your videos. Pretty much.
Absolutely.
well, and I think, so he never answered the question about what you do too.
Yeah. So I work for Iron Bond, and I do biomedical. So do you know the knee replacement, the titanium?
Oh, I think I've heard about that.
So that's what we make, pretty much. And I met Adrian through jiu-jitsu. I was I never talked to anybody. I just like work out and stuff. And then he came up to me like super hype and stuff. And he was just like, hey, like, you're good at jiu-jitsu. And then he pretty much asked me how old am I. And then after that, he was like, oh, you want to go out? Just have some drinks and then eat later probably. And then I was like, okay, I got nothing to do anyway. So yeah, and then Pat met him 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, same time.
3 years.
Yeah, it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
And I thought he was always the funny one. It's like every time he laughs, he makes me laugh. Just like that. So
I guess circling back to the question about what it's going to take for us to grow, I think something we do really good is delegating our roles a little bit. When we go, like anything mechanical, he's naturally a mechanic. Like he is a mechanic. Now he works for this titanium company, but he has such a mechanical mind / artistic mind. So like any setup or wherever we're actually going on a job site, I call it job site. When we go to like a cidery, he can set up our shots efficiently, the audio efficiently. He's kind of like the back end guy who you don't see, but he set this whole thing up. You know, all the mechanical stuff he does for us, all the camera shots he does for us. I'm like the videographer slash, I would say, customer interaction, even though it's hard to say customer, but follower interaction. I literally probably talk to everybody. Yeah, viewer interaction, whatever. Anybody on our Instagram who reaches out to us is typically going to be talking to me 95% of the time or whatever. And then he goes out of his way to kind of like engage with people who aren't following us, whether it's liking their pictures, following people that seem interesting, whatever it may be.
Grow our community.
Grow our community, kind of. And then point me in the right direction, like, hey, you need to talk to this person. He seems pretty cool. And, we want to work with him. Something like that, and we, like, our roles change a lot of times, but that's something that we do really well. And I think that's going to be what kind of grows us so much.
Yeah.
I'm planning on doing a pretty big giveaway soon. Some of the things that we're going to do is going to be, like, you have to follow us, like this picture, and that's going to be it. Or tag, like, 3 people, kind of in the spirits of the 3 guys. Tag 3 people. So then they will do the same, and it'll grow our following, our subscribership up. And then, I think that's going to get us to the point where I think YouTube, you need 2,000 followers and I forget how many hours to monetize. But
I think it's 1,000 followers and 4,000 hours a year.
Yeah.
Within the span of a year. Because if you get the 1,000, you're probably going to stay there.
Yeah. So
yeah, like 4,000 hours. I mean, they're not playing any games. That's a lot.
That is a lot. I want to look into affiliate marketing. I definitely want to do that. We're looking at kit.co, and I know, like, a lot of times if you wear a certain type of jeans, you could put a link to it. I'm gonna look at that just to experiment, just to kind of R&D and see, is there any monetary value in this website, and can we make money off affiliate marketing? But that's not the main focus. The main focus is the orchards, the cideries. We're working for them. We don't get any monetary value out of it right now, but our focus is being in this industry at inception and being a big household name while it's coming up, and I think what we're doing is kind of getting us there, but we're always open to so many ideas. I believe in meeting of the minds, and, like, if you have any input, we definitely will take it. No,
absolutely. And with the affiliate marketing, a lot of the stuff I've seen, like if somebody especially likes your camera or your audio quality, linking the equipment that you use is always something I see, especially if someone uses, like, a drone shot.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of different stuff. It all depends. Like, again, if you have, like, if you're wearing, like, Levi's, then everybody knows what a Levi's is. But if you get, like, the special 3 Guys Cider shirt, and it links in the description. But of course, with your affiliate linking, it's always great to diversify different areas to pull in money from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually I started a kit.co kit, and we use an EOS Canon T7i camera or something like that. So that's going to be part of the things you start pushing now. And I think he uses a Nikon, so sometimes we have both shots. We'll push that as well. And yeah. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So how has traveling been with COVID? Especially, I heard y'all came to Atlanta. Was that more or less of a, well, no, I guess it would have to be, since y'all started the channel a little bit before COVID happening. Did you feel any kind of slack? Because I know definitely in Atlanta, they don't or Georgia itself, maybe Atlanta they care as a city, but Georgia as a state doesn't necessarily care. What was the experience for y'all as far as, because I know when I was up in Boston and then came back to Alabama, there's like 100% mask usage and then 70-60% mask usage. Was that kind of a culture shock down here when y'all visited?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. But as far as how we approach it, we're always 100% cautious regardless. We usually, when we go to cideries and everything, we go before they even open, so there's no one around. It's us and whoever we're interviewing, that's it. Nobody else in there. Makes it easier for them, makes it easier for us, makes it safer for both, all the way around. And we're always using masks all the time. So no matter where we are, how we travel, I mean, cideries, if they invite us to come on, they're obviously open for us. So it's not where it's like we go there and find out we can't or whatever. But like So we go, we're very cautious, we're very safe, no matter what state or no matter where we're going. So
I think so. Like when we went to Atlanta, it was kind of in, I want to say, the beginning of COVID. And so my sister lives in Atlanta, and she kind of made us a deal that we couldn't really say no to. I think tickets to go to Atlanta at the time were only like $35 round trip.
Oh,
And
yeah, no, it was ridiculous.
yeah, so we were like, okay, she's gonna pay for our flight, and we're gonna stay at her house. We can't say no to that.
No, absolutely not. You shouldn't say no to that. $35?
But I will say it was nerve wracking because I mean, sure, from like a PR standpoint, we don't want to look like the guys that are, spreading this horrible disease, whatever, or getting it ourselves. But for me, it was nerve wracking. We're going to the airport. The airport was a lot more quiet than it typically was, before that. We went to, I think, Newark, and oh my gosh, there was like nobody there, but we were like so scared if we thought we heard a cough, we like stayed away, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, it was we didn't know anything. Is this a zombie apocalypse? Are we all gonna die? We're like, had no idea. But it was just a weekend trip we did, and we hit like 3 cideries. I had fun.
I bring 2 like bottles of what's it called, hand sanitizer, and they
got security. We got stopped at security because of this guy.
Oh my God, yeah. They thought y'all were trying to bring an explosive on board. It's like, that's not hand sanitizer. We know what that is.
That's how nerve wracking it was for us, because the last thing we want to do with this channel is just be the reason that somebody gets sick. If any of us has felt the slightest sickness, at all, like if we're feeling anything under the weather, we'll cancel. And luckily we've been okay so far, and knock on wood.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely weird for us, especially traveling. I think that whole coughing thing you explained earlier, I think that's going to be kind of like a scar. Yeah. Like, I don't think coughing in public is going to be the same ever again. Like, I know I'll feel an itch, and I'll try to go like, I'll try my best not to cough, because if I cough, I'm like people like swivel their head around, and it's like, what are you doing?
Dude, coughing is a new farting. Like, you don't do it in public anymore.
Yeah, like, I'm sure people would prefer it on some level. It's like, well, at least it wasn't a cough.
Yeah, for sure.
Grandma still make it. At least that's the positive.
So I definitely want to ask you, what brought on board this podcast? I think I love what you do, and I listened to some of your first episode. We're always so busy, so it's hard to find time to do stuff like that, to listen to other people's stuff. But I liked what I heard. What brought this on board?
Honestly, it was more of I've always wanted to do something. And I really have to shout out Joshua Lee. He was one of my earlier episodes. He's a author in Dothan, and if anyone knows anything about Alabama, you don't do anything except for your 9 to 5. You find a career, you put in your time, and I know that's a bit more like everywhere, but even if like in a city, you have more of a opportunity to find 3 guys like yourself to open up a business. But if you're just one guy, it's no, you don't need to waste your time. It's like you're just going to waste money and fail. You should do that money enjoying yourself. But when I talked to him, he publishes his books through Amazon. So I mean, it's not even like he has his own publisher yet, but he just does it. And I was like, so what makes you want to do something like that? It's like, you don't have a publisher. You're going through Amazon. You maybe have a couple of hundred sales per book, and most of them are probably for friends and stuff. What gets you out of bed, and what gets you to do it? He's like, if you want, and then I ask him, and it's like, and what do you think I should do? It's like, well, you should do exactly what I'm doing. You just need to do it. And then, especially with this COVID thing, I went up there, and every day the numbers are going up, the deaths are going up. We're losing 1 million, 1.5 million jobs a week. And if you want my opinion, the way automation has been going, all this is going to do is because I've always felt that there are these like 2 sects of like higher class in the corporate sectors, where one of them is just like, you can't beat good old-fashioned man-powered employment, and then the other is like robots. So the robot people are going to be like, hey, you like your manpower people, but what happens when this next virus comes through and it's the bubonic plague with COVID? What are we going to do then? Robots aren't going to get sick. Robots aren't going to want to quit work because they're too scared, or they want to use it as an excuse to collect unemployment. So we're just going to run up the automation process. So with all those different aspects kind of perfectly falling out into place, I kind of felt like I just need to do something, even if I don't really do it. Because like right now, I'm using my phone. I'm working on getting on equipment. I'm working on turning another room into a studio. So it just needs to happen until it gets to the point where I want it to be. I don't need to save up and get to the place I want to be. I just need to start doing it and work my way to there. So that's really what started this kind of this journey of mine.
Yeah, I'm listening to his audiobook right now. I finished it. I'm re-listening to it. I think it's called Atomic Habits. I forget who it's by. I have to find it for you. But yeah, I think you'll love it. And one of the things he talks about is over preparing. I know that's something that Patrick does a lot. I was trying to push him not to. But sometimes we over prepare for something and that day never comes because we're always studying, like, you want to be a marathon runner, but you haven't. Now we're going to find the best shorts to wear and the best app. And I'm not going to even hit a mile or run or anything. I'm going to look and shop and wait for all this cool equipment to come out before I even make an attempt at running, a marathon or even a mile. And like what he talks about is stop preparing so much and just do something. Even just walking down that road is preparation for your marathon, your eventual marathon, and I mean, definitely give that book, like that audiobook, a listen, or, read it if that's good too. It's easy.
Just be sure to send me the thing when we get off and I'll definitely look it up.
I want to find the guy's name, but man,
I forgot. But yeah, it is Atomic Habits. It's definitely Atomic Habits. I forget the author though.
Yeah. James Clear.
That's it. Yeah.
He's on the podcast also. Really? So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I feel like podcasting. It's an exciting new medium, and I'm kind of I'm not gonna say dissuade. I'm disgruntled. A lot of people are kind of like coming into it. Like, I know, like, y'all started your new stuff and your channel slowly growing. Mine's slowerly growing. And like, and I had, I remember like something, it almost kind of broke me for like half a second. And then I got over it because I easily do that. I like kind of get bummed out and then be like, oh, whatever, I can't help it. It's where Hillary Clinton starts a podcast and her first guest is Nancy Pelosi. And I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to compete with that? Like, actors that are out of work, and it's like, if I need to stay relevant, so I'm either tweeting 6 times more than I am anytime anything of importance happens to solidify my stance and remind you that I exist as a person because I'm not on the screen anymore. Do y'all feel like podcast videos, YouTubes, anything like that, and especially with the growth of TikTok, where you can put out like a video of yourself just standing out into a distant corner and it gets 1 million views, do you feel like that's kind of crescendoing to where it's going to kind of flatten out for the people that stick with it, or do you think it's just going to get where every other person has a podcast? And if so, do we even want that?
So I kind of relate this to photography. You think about photography, I don't know, maybe 20, 15 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, I don't know. It was something beautiful that, like, it was hard to get a good photographer.
Right.
Somewhere along the line, somebody realized we don't have to go to school for this. We just got to practice a crap load of times. And it's actually like when I talk about that audiobook, that's something he was talking about. They took 2 groups of people and they said, okay, you're going to be the quantitative group and one's going to be the qualitative group. The quantitative group is going to get graded on, and I might be butchering this, but how many, or on a weekly basis, and what you found is the quantitative group, was getting better every week at their photography. The qualitative group was only going to give in 1 picture at the end of the semester. And what you found is that the quantitative group was so much better because every week they were developing, whereas the qualitative group was waiting 3 months to send one picture for their final project. And I think that's kind of what happened in photography. People found if I just buy equipment and keep taking a bunch of pictures, I'm going to eventually get good at it. I think with podcasting, you're going to find kind of the same thing. But I think with podcasting, it takes a little bit more investment out of like your soul. I mean, doing this is almost like a job. Like even if
it really is.
Audio thing. I mean, I know we do mainly the videography. We're more of a blog. We do the videography thing. That's sometimes with me having a full-time job and me going to the gym and being an instructor and thinking about opening up a gym, it takes so much of my time. And still having a fiance who doesn't want to leave me, like I'm still trying to shower her with good gifts and like make her love me still, I'm still trying to have a social life. Like it's hard, man. So I think photography, you take a day, you snap pictures, that's that. With podcasting, you'll find that a lot of people are going to want to come, but a lot of them will go. Not a lot of people will stay consistent. So when you see people like you who are passionate, who are bringing different guests in, you're going to be the one who makes it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think what a lot of people don't do enough of is hit different platforms. Do I really want to be a household name on TikTok? Not necessarily, but I would be a fool not to explore it, because if I can get people from TikTok to come to my YouTube channel or my Instagram to then come to my YouTube channel, then I'll do it. I'm going to hit it at every angle to get you to watch my product. So the easiest thing we have right now is Instagram. That's something I've kind of like watched a lot of videos on, and I'll have people go, that's what he does kind of, to our YouTube. When we put a new episode out, we say, hey, there's a new YouTube video. And I do interact with most of our followers like on a weekly basis. So you'll find that like we get a lot of views, and our views are kind of growing because of that. So no, do I want to be the biggest podcaster? Not necessarily. Do I want to be the biggest Instagram account? Not necessarily, or TikToker. But I would be a fool not to hit all those social media platforms to get them to my YouTube. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think he's right about the passion aspect of it. Like it does, it's fun, and it's with anything really. Everybody sees things at face value, especially with social media. They think, oh, they're having so much fun. It's so great. It's so great. It's so great. There's a lot of things that are tough about it that you don't see, and I think what gets you through all that. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of rewarding aspects of it too. But the tough parts, it's the passion. Are you enjoying what you're doing? Because a lot of people, especially with podcasting, it's so popular now, and a bunch of other things too. It's just like YouTubing, everybody wants to do it. But like he said, like at some point, you're gonna realize, wow, this is hard, or this isn't really fun anymore, and then they give up. So like if you have that passion, that's what gets you through that. So I really believe that.
One thing I want to do, and I'm pushing these guys to like, explore their passion projects too, but I want to start a podcast where I bring different guests in, and I want to call it Motive Mondays or Motivational Mondays, with just the sole, thought behind it, where when you're driving to work on a Monday, you're feeling crummy because, man, I had a great weekend. Typically here in the East Coast, you have a lot of people, like you said, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 jobs. You kind of stick to that, So you're feeling crummy and you need a little inspiration driving to work in traffic, because we have a lot of traffic here in New Jersey, and I'm sure it's like that all over the country, the world. I want to bring in people with cool guests, and bring in cool guests with people with good stories and stuff. And I want to inspire people through their stories, so that's something I'm looking into next. That'll be kind of affiliated with our channel, but it'll be its own thing. I'll definitely have these guys as reoccurring guests from time to time. I'll definitely bring people in from the Cider community, from the jiu-jitsu community, the mixed martial arts community, and maybe the car community through you, But I think, podcasting's freaking awesome, man.
Oh no, it's fantastic. I mean, even with the phone, like the videos aren't the best. Like the first episode I did with my friend Justin, I used this microphone that I got from a friend, and the audio quality was fantastic, but it was only audio. But you really have to a visual, just by levels grows the experience of just listening to a conversation. But even with that, starting out on a podcast, it's probably what's going to be the great filter for podcasting, is where people like me that would start maybe with a phone, maybe with the mic, maybe they'll get some earbuds and plug them into their ears and talk through the mic on the earphone. Once they find out that a mixer, editing software licenses, all that stuff, the thousands of dollars it's going to take for you to get like Joe Rogan good quality, it's that's going to filter out a lot of those people, and I knew that coming in from the jump. So it's something that's got to happen, and I think you're right where it's really saturated right now. That's what's going to like separate the good from the bad.
Yeah, and people are home right now. I mean, I think we're seeing, at least in our end of the world, we're seeing people go back to work and like physically not be working remotely anymore. My fiance is still, working from home though. So it kind of pushes people to find their passion projects. I think podcasting is like an easy go-to for a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people start and a lot of people die off within a couple, weeks or months sometimes. But yeah, man. Side note, I got to give a special shout out to Abandoned Hard Cider. Now that I have you and this platform, just because, I just texted him right before the show. I'm like, hey, could I have your drink on camera? And he's like, yeah, man, cool. But I love what this cidery is doing because they're educating the masses, man. Anybody that gets this product gets to see like the floral notes, like all their cans, every flavor they have, they describe what you're drinking, where the apples are from, the fruity aspects, the dry aspect, the tart aspect. It's a rustic, appley nose on it. And I think companies like this are what's going to bring this industry up, because somebody who doesn't know a lot about cider may look at one of their cans and say, that sweetness says 7 out of 8. That's too sweet for me. Or they might say, it's 5 out of 8. That's kind of the sweetness that I want. Or it's 6 out of 8 fruity, And, I love that they do that. So special shout out to Abandoned Hard Cider, letting us drink this on your podcast.
Absolutely. Like even with that education aspect you were talking about, like even as big as Bud Light is, anyone can joke around and be like, Bud Light, it's watered down horse piss.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what the actual answer is. But if you take this Abandoned Cider, like you said, the different floral notes and everything, you can be like, no, this isn't horse piss. It's actually got jasmine. Yeah. It's got apricots in it. It's a 7 out of 8 sweetness. So I think that's actually a very interesting spin on the can design, especially something just like a lot of real estate that's normally it's just one big logo and the solid blue, but you can actually have like a very, very precise description of what's happening with the cider you're drinking. I love that.
They even have a picture of like the apple that that made this. It's so cool. You don't see that anywhere. So
no, you don't.
Yeah.
So what do y'all think? Because I know earlier we were talking about how a lot of these farmers, how a lot of these cideries are already like centennial orchards. Did a lot of them talk about the kind of monocultural industrial takeover of agriculture? Because especially right now, I know India's going through kind of a thing right now where their government normally buys the food and the product from the farmers at a set minimum wage, but now they're trying to pass a new law where it would be more convenient to buy straight from the companies because this is what a company does. It's set up to buy stuff, but there's no minimum wage. So year by year, they could lower the prices until they get to kind of wiping out these farmers, much like we've seen here in America. Because I mean, if you're farming here, you're a corn farmer, or especially here, you have chicken houses, and every 3 months you get new chickens. Those people are making, and this is real. They're making 3 cents a pound on chicken, on the raw. So if you get a 5-pound chicken, you get, I guess that'd be 15 cents.
Wow.
That's insane. I didn't know that.
So is that something that anyone kind of opened up about, where they were like, we almost lost the family farm, but we decided to grow cider and now we're successful and have like all this money coming in. Was anything like that opened up, or is it just something where you're more of a small businesses appear to be more protected from the aspect of Walmart and gas stations can't sell alcohol, so obviously they're looking out for the smaller guy in one aspect. So I would assume that they're looking out in those similar aspects. Is that something that really happened over there, or were they kind of protected from that?
So I can't necessarily speak for every state in the U.S. I know Canada has like different rules. You'd have to bring Grow the Cider Review for that answer in Canada. But so we've kind of been going to the Hudson Valley a lot, New York a lot, New York State. And for you to have so it's so strange. Cider, for some reason, is not delegated to its own category. It's either wine or beer or both. New York, for some reason, has weird laws that when you sell, wine, you can't sell it in the same place that you sell beer. So you have a wine store or a beer store. And it's the strangest thing. Cider can be sold at both. Technically, cider is just apple wine. I think that's actually the actual term for it in like Switzerland. So what New York has done is for you to have a New York State, I guess, wine license to sell cider, because you have to have a wine license to sell cider, you have to, I guess, use apples or juice from your local economy. It has to be local farms. I don't know what the actual law is, but I think it's got to be essentially a hop, skip away from you. Yes, it pushes you to have your own orchard, or you can't necessarily afford to have your own orchard. You have to buy your juice or buy your apples from a local orchard. So it kind of helps develop local economy that way. Now I know that and I don't want to mess this up either. I know Angry Orchard, yes, they're based out of New York, but they don't have a New York State license, I believe. I think they operate under whatever the grander scheme of things is. I don't know exactly, but they don't have to get New York juice. I'm sure they can, but they don't have to because they don't have a New York license. They operate under a national license or something like that. I think out of California or something. I mean, again, I'm probably butchering that, but yeah. So the laws kind of in our East Coast realm or whatever have been, I think, made kind of to help the local farmer.
Well, that's fantastic.
Exactly, like urban cideries, but.
Well, yeah, that's fantastic because, again, a lot of farmers, especially down south, have always been like, even my dad, he didn't really get into cattle farming a lot, but we had maybe 100, 200 head of cattle from my grandfather, and it was always just like, we do this to pay for it. It's like, this isn't something we make money for. It's like, we have the cows, so we take the males when they're big enough and sell them to then spend the money on the material that we need for upkeep of the females and the 2 or 3 bulls that we keep.
Yeah.
So it's actually really good that a lot of people have especially up there in the north where they are more of you have to buy stuff in your local economy, because I mean that's great. Like farmers are again, and you hear everybody say it, but again, it's never really echoed in legislation. It's always echoed on TV and in sound bites, but farmers and small businesses really are backbones, if not the backbone of a successful economy.
For sure.
So to hear that they're doing something like that to protect their industries like that, it's actually really makes me happy to hear that.
And it's so cool, man. Because of that, you do see that these up and coming, startup cidery companies do pretty good because of that. There's ciders that you can only get within a certain region, and that's fine. That's all they want to do. They don't want to go international. They don't want to go national. Yeah. They want to be just in their region and be the go-to cidery. If you ever get a chance to go to New York, I believe it's Chatham, New York, there's the Greenhouse Cidery. You cannot get that cider anywhere else in the country outside of Chatham, New York. And it's such a cool thing. Because when you think about that for a second, you can never drink this ever anywhere unless you're in that point in the universe, and every batch is different. It truly is an art form. So
Yeah, and that's another thing that a lot of alcohols do. You said you were speaking on the uniqueness of the greenhouse cider. A lot of to keep that consistent flavor, to make it that Bud Light taste or to make it that Jack Daniel's taste, they will always like kind of mix it together and like blend it to like this monotonous kind of just this what they do. It's like but to take like a single barrel, and even that started kind of coming out where they would have like this is single barrel from barrel 7354-D bottle 7 out of 12.
Yeah.
Or it's actually like 200 bottles, but you catch my drift. But to actually hear that there's like it's never going to taste the same, and then you can only get it in Chad, or Chatham, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And that's actually really nice too, because again, we're always expecting a Big Mac to taste like a Big Mac.
Yeah.
So for something to be like, this isn't what I had last time, but it's just as good on a scale. That's a really nice thing. But what do you think kind of like puts, like you said, Angry Orchard had its California license to where it doesn't necessarily, even though it's headquartered in New York, I believe.
And don't quote me on that. I don't know if it's California. I think it is.
I could see that. I could see that at a federal level. If you're a big enough company, you can get special privilege. So I can definitely see. They'll break up a bit there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I was saying because you can definitely see with a company as big as Angry Orchard, maybe not as far as like Budweiser or anything, but I'm sure they had enough lawyers to legal loophole around where they could get California licensing for whatever reason, and then be headquartered in New York to where they can like throw around their freedoms to where they outsource their product from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do y'all think is the future of cider? Now, you said a lot of these people don't really follow like social media trends, and again, if I know farmers, they don't really care about social media that much. So do you think it's going to take somebody like y'all to kind of introduce them kind of as your channel, and maybe educate the farmers and maybe to get like or hell, maybe even yourself to be like their digital liaisons, as maybe that could be another thing, egg you could have in a basket. But even more so, you could have somebody like the place in Chatham where they just want to be in Chatham. They don't want to go to Alabama or Georgia. They don't want to ship out. There's like, we have this many apples, we have this many gallons of cider, and Chatham can handle that. So this is where we're going to stay. Do you think that someone could possibly discover the power of social media in that aspect, like Angry Orchard could arguably say, and kind of drown out competition while it's still young? Or do you think that that's just something that you can't really tell as of now?
I mean, as far as that, I think for the future, and I think, yes, we do have a big part in it, and people like us, and there's a lot of people other than us that do the same thing. I think social media is one aspect. I know a lot of places have said that, like we spoke about, they're not huge on social media. They're okay with where they're at. Don't even want to like branch out too far outside of where they are, kind of like Greenhouse Cidery is. But like, I think it'll take a lot of different things, social media and others, to just, because I think there's a lot of stigma around it, and I think that's a huge thing as to why it's not, growing as huge as we'd like to see it. Some say it's a female drink. Some say it's like a bunch of other things that and some people think it's too sweet, too this, too that. There's so many different things that I think are holding it back a lot from saying how popular beer is or other liquors or anything like that. And I think we just need to, through us and other avenues, just break and chip away at that. And over time, we'll see if people can realize what its true potential is and erase all the prior thoughts about it. I think it'll see a lot more growth in the future.
I think so. Like you said, we kind of play a part in it. I feel like we're such a small piece of the puzzle. We want to be a bigger piece of the puzzle, essentially, but we're such a small piece. We're still new to this. We started this we started an account in June and put a bunch of pictures of ciders. Didn't think it's going to be that big. We're just kind of having fun with it. Really, we started really focusing on what we're doing now, probably August 2020. We're still a baby. We're a puppy of what we're going to be. I want to be a big freaking wolf in the game. You know what I mean? I want to be what you think of. But we're just such a small piece. There's people who are doing much bigger things than us. Again, I mentioned Girl with a Cider Review a lot. We have other people, Ciders with Cami. There's the cider scene. Can't forget those guys. They've been around for, I think, 3 or 4 years. And, they've kind of opened the door for people like us. People who are doing big things in the cider enthusiast kind of realm. We're still new at this. We're not the first to do it. I'm sure we're not going to be the last, but we're such a small piece of the puzzle. We want to be a larger piece, but I think it is people like that, enthusiasts, kind of how beer has. I know in the beer world, you have people who are sponsored by these companies, by craft and mass manufactured companies, and I think we're getting to that point. It'd be a shame to see that a lot of people don't take advantage of social media. There are companies that are doing it. Like you said, Angry Orchard is doing it. Woodchuck is doing it. There's a lot of companies that are doing it, and they're doing well because of it. You become a household name. Yeah. Woodchuck is huge. You know what I mean? And Strongbow, you get that internationally. So to see these craft cider places take advantage of that.
Yeah, because honestly, that's kind of my fear as far as capitalism, because pretty much how that works as far as an aspect to a company or a corporation, like let's say Walmart or Amazon, they're going to fight each other because they are always wanting to have their market shares, their hold of the market, their stock prices, their profit margins. That's always something that they're wanting to go up. Because if it's not going up, then it looks like they're failing. And if they're failing, that means the other guy who may be doing better is succeeding. Yeah. So that's always something I've really feared as far as like small business, because in my opinion, you're totally right. What Greenhouse is doing, there should be an Amazon-esque company for Alabama. There should be an Amazon-esque company for Georgia, because once you have an Amazon, you have these people, now we're into doorbells, and then that company's so big, maybe there's a creepy guy that he decides he wants to whisper to children through the Ring doorbell, which has happened. Or yeah.
No.
Y'all don't know about that? Oh, we're gonna cut that off. Yes, no. So that's actually happened. There's been multiple situations where Ring doorbell users, Amazon Alexa people have because if you know a product, you know the product, and you know what the product does, how it stops stuff from happening, and how to get around that, because that's literally your job if you're high enough on the food chain. So they've accessed these different Alexas and everything. I think there was a really big case I heard on Philip DeFranco maybe a week or two ago, where a guy found out through search histories, maybe it was lingerie, toys, women eccentric stuff that's okay, this is a woman, there's no cowboy boots or nothing, so probably not a male. Save the address, save the link and everything, and let's see what Cassie's doing today, and put their ear up to the Ring. And I don't really want to say too much because I don't really know it. Maybe Amazon's Mr. Teal, we don't like what you're saying about our company. That's a strong insinuation you're throwing out there. So allegedly, there was a guy listening to about 30 different people through their Ring devices and Alexa devices. And not only is that on the aspect of a company that big is stifling innovation in business because they're killing off the competition, you're so big you can't check that one guy until he hacks into the female that herself knows what's happening, and maybe she has her stuff set up through a router or a computer to check the incoming and outgoing data and see what's happening, and then catches him. So, but yeah, that was extremely wild when I heard it happen. I was that's only going to happen more.
Wow, that's sad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why I think you got to support local business, man, because if you support local business, you know where that business comes from and who you're dealing
Exactly.
with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Damn.
And that's another thing with farmers. Like, if you go to McDonald's and say, hey, where do you get your chicken from? They're like, that is a state secret. We actually have government mandates where you cannot record as an employee. You can't record what's happening, or you will go to jail regardless of anything we're doing. Because I know that happened again. That Philip DeFranco, shout out to him. Like, that's like 95% of my news, where an employee was like, you're mistreating these animals on the way to killing them. Like them. So with chickens, you'll take their feet and you'll hang them, and then their necks won't be able to support the weight, and then they get their necks cut and bled out. There was some videos where guys were like picking up them and slamming them against the wall because they like bit them or something. Because they're going to fight.
Yeah.
Why not? And then when he reported that to PETA and the company found out who it was, because Bob works here, Bob has a camera. Maybe it was Bob. So they figured out it was Bob, and then Bob goes to jail because the government says you can't record inside of these slaughterhouses. But a small-time farmer, a small-time cidery, orchard, they will literally they'll let you mix the bowl as it's going into the brewery. Like, there's nothing to hide.
Yeah, definitely not.
Supporting the business is huge. And like you said, yeah, they'll bring you into the orchard. They'll help you mix. Mm-hmm. Going back to the greenhouse cidery, they do things like that where they'll do like paint and sip nights and stuff like that, or something with like you get trees. I think off their I think they grow Christmas trees or something like that. I don't know, but yeah,
that'd be a really big thing.
Yeah,
Don't they grow berries? So?
Yeah, well, yeah. So their main, I think, source of income is their market, their farmhouse market, and so they're known for their berries, the Chatham Berry Farm. And the greenhouse cidery kind of set a home within that farm. John Gilbert, amazing cider maker. His dad was the owner of the farm, and I think the farm's been in their family for a couple generations. But huge berry farm, and it's cool because they're so passionate about what they do, man. And like anybody who wants to taste what's like out in the fields, they'll bring on board. And Allie, I think his fiance or his girlfriend, will like walk people and have you like eat the berries. We have in that episode there where we did go there, and it's really cool.
Oh yeah, there's nothing like, again, with the cider coming straight out the spigot. There's nothing like just going up to get like fresh produce, like right out the ground.
Yeah,
there's absolutely nothing like it. And a lot of times these farmers are like under real sharp scrutiny, so they almost have to be as inviting as they are, because you can see a fake post where somebody's like, I found a bone in my McDouble or my Big Mac, or they mess up your order 100 times. You're still going to go back to McDonald's. But if a small farmer's market's like even with like green bean companies, like these giant monocultures, these machines will scoop up rats if they're caught in the path and throw them into a can sometimes. And if that ever happened to a small farmer's market, he'd be bankrupt and lawsuited until the end of his life. Like, he would never be out of debt.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what is next for the Three Guys Cider? What are y'all doing next?
So, I mean, I think we're gonna keep growing this channel for sure. Kind of like what I spoke to before. We want to find ways to monetize out of this. That's something that we kind of focus on, on a weekly basis. We try to like have meetings about it, and we're trying to figure that out. We were talking about Vino Shipper for a while, being distributors. Do we want to make cider? What we're really diving into more is investing into this guy, making his cider and having him develop cider, and maybe we'll call it Three Guys Cider one day. We don't necessarily want to be a big household name within the cider industry. We may just want to compete in a couple cider competitions at the amateur level, and just see how good we do. Really learning from these people, not competing against them, just making craft cider and maybe selling it in our local market. But that won't be our main focus, I think. But just some type of way to make a little bit of money off of it, so that we can go international and explore different places. We recently did T-shirt sales. And we did a pre-order, and it skyrocketed. It was pretty awesome. We did okay. We made our money back and then some. So pretty soon we're gonna just sell only T-shirts. You know, it won't be pre-order. If you want something, you know, you can just kind of order it and we'll send it to your house or whatever. But that I think is gonna be a big focus for us to give back to this, you know, community. We have to find ways to make money because we are traveling. At the end of the day, it comes out of our own pockets. You know, we were in an Airbnb this weekend. We paid for that. You know, nobody paid for our Airbnb.
Yeah.
You know, anything we ate this weekend, we paid for that. You know, so we have to find some type of way to make this affordable for us. We are going to make a Patreon soon. That's something we're working on. So any advice that we're doing, even if you give us $1 a month, it helps us in our cause. You know, I think really something we really want to dive into is giving back through our platform, like we spoke about before. Something that Embarkcraft Cider Works is doing amazing with is they're starting this new much loved project where I think a portion of their sales for certain cans go to mental health, and we want to collaborate with whatever they do and give them whatever they need, videography, photography. You know, we're like not necessarily super popular right now, but if one day we are and they're still doing this, you know, whatever way we can help, you know, them at all, we want to do stuff like that. And one thing I really am flirting with is the idea of 3 guys and good deeds, you know, and just, you know, there's so many people struggling right now. If we could use our platform to help somebody out, one idea I have, you know, we're so close to New York City here in New Jersey, is, you know, finding somebody who's maybe homeless, needs help finding a job or something, feeding them, getting them a haircut, helping them buy a suit or something, and maybe trying to see if somewhere, maybe a local cidery or something, could give them a job. And the long scheme of things, we only help a couple people out, but maybe that's bigger in the long scheme of things. Maybe they can help somebody out one day, and that's something I want to dive into, I think, in the near future as well. It's a little weird with, you know, a pandemic on the rise, and I don't know how many people are comfortable, you know, bringing in somebody just off the streets, but that's something I kind of want to look into, and we've talked about it a little bit. So
no, absolutely, I can understand. I mean, hell, even helping one person is more than half 3/4 of the population does.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like, at the bare minimum, you give a guy a haircut and a shave. That's more than, because I know when I went through New York City, because there may be some homelessness or some, like, maybe they're not homeless, but they are like, they stand on the side of the street a lot. Maybe they're taken care of by family, or they get a government check, so they don't really know what else to do. It really off-put me for at least the first day or so of when I was in New York City, just dead center, Times Square. Just, I mean, I always heard about it in like New York comedy skits or jokes or bits about like the guy on the bench with a needle out of his arm. Literally, people on the street, needles out of their arm. Like the homelessness and the drug usage, which it coalesces with each other at such a high point that it kind of shook me, because that doesn't really happen. But even if you just got that guy, or got him when he was sober, gave him a haircut and a shave, and like took him out for a meal or took him to the cidery and even introduced him to the idea of employment, that's more than anyone else is doing right now. Unless they like, even someone like donates to charity, that's the bare minimum in my aspect, and like my point of view. You're donating, yeah, fine, fantastic, great. You are doing a great job, but a lot of these companies, like, the money's not going 100% there. 100% of what you're doing is going to that person. There's no, we would take $20 out of this trip to pay this guy or that guy, or he handles the accounting, or he finds the homeless people that we are doing, so we have to pay that guy. It's you, 3 guys, going out there and actually doing something, and doing it for the sake of doing it, not in the chase of or hopes of any kind of recognition or anything.
Yeah, that is one of the good things I've seen through TikTok. There's people doing trending dances and songs and stuff like that, but there's a small group of people who are gathering money from people watching their videos and giving it to people in need, whether it is, you know, people who need to make rent or just homeless people, you know. And that's something that I love, that they're taking social media and bringing, you know, something positive out of it, you know. Yeah, so we want to be part of that. Whether it's part of the vlog or not, it doesn't have to. We don't have to be recording anything. We want to be able to give good stories back and see people succeed. And I know second chances are huge for everybody. I think life is defined by opportunities, even the ones you miss. It's one of my favorite quotes. So we can create opportunities for people, at any capacity. We're certainly going to do that.
It's just doing simple kindness.
Yeah. Random acts of kindness.
Exactly.
Do it.
Well, hell, it's been a fantastic journey with y'all today. Thank you so much for coming on, everybody. Three Guys Cider. Tell everybody where they can go ahead and find you on your socials.
Socials.
Okay, so all right, the biggest one and our main page is Instagram. We got a Facebook, we got YouTube, TikTok.
Oh,
and all
better yet. Hold on. Show the.
Oh, yeah.
I'm wearing the
There's the
short sleeves.
hashtag. And all the pages are Three Guys in Cider. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It's all Three Guys in Cider.
Yeah. So yeah, Three Guys and Cider. I think on Twitter we're the number 3 guys and cider.
We don't really use that.
We don't really use it. I think it's just kind of like it just auto-populates.
It's just there.
It just auto-populates,
Yeah, it's especially for me. Like I've got half of my page, half of the first page of my phone are different socials where I'm either trying to just advertise myself or find people to bring on the show. So I mean, I hear you. You got to pick what pops and run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, dude, I almost feel like I'm becoming Three Guys. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I spend more time on the three because we did want to separate, our vlog versus our personal accounts. I'll still interact with people in both if people reach out to me, or a lot of times we have crossovers so people follow us on our show and follow our Instagram, and they'll follow me and message me directly, and I'll always, talk to them through there. But I almost feel sometimes like I'm becoming I am a three guy. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I spend more time in our group account, in our vlog account, than I do in my own. And sometimes
oh yeah, at that point with that, yeah. I'm on Three Guys more than I'm on my own.
Yeah.
I don't even use mine anymore. Let's be real.
I don't know about you guys, but I can be really outgoing, but I could also be really shy. And with Three Guys, we're loud. Sometimes we dance, sometimes we're chugging things, we're doing crazy stuff, challenges, and it almost I almost operate off a different part of my brain sometimes. I don't know if you guys, we're a different identity,
Yeah.
than we are in our personal life.
It's definitely opened up a whole new world for me. Before this even happened, I wouldn't even think about traveling at all, even just in general in my life. It's opened up a whole new world for me. It's given me experiences that I never would have had otherwise, and I don't know. It's just been a great experience. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Better.
Well, again, guys, it has been great having you on. We're definitely going to do this again. Maybe when you come down to Georgia, I can tag along. We'll see. Or maybe I'll try and find you something in Alabama. Maybe there's somebody small that doesn't know how to use social media, and I have to kind of get a word of mouth bearing of where they're located. But we'll see what happens.
Let's do it. I think, Alabama should have more cideries, and at the very least, we should have craft cider introduced there. So we can be part of it.
Absolutely.
We'll do it.
As much as I love cider, that definitely might be a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should.
We're down
All right.
to visit, man.
Yeah.
All right. Absolutely. All right. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for listening to this episode with us today. Be sure to follow them at the links that they've given and the links that will be down below in the description. Please subscribe to my channel and keep up with this conversation that we have until the end of the world comes. And we'll pretty much just end it there. So thank you guys for coming on, and we'll see you all later. Bye.
Thank you.